is the E911 Talk Podcast, episode 79 for Monday, April 9, 2012.
Welcome to this edition of E911 Talk with your host, Mark Fletcher, product line manager for emergency services at Avaya. Now, here's Fletch.
Most weeks, as Friday starts to roll around, I start collecting my thoughts and notes from the week and start to zero in on the topic of my podcast, which I usually record sometime over the weekend. Fortunately, there's enough going on in the industry that I haven't been short for topics. But this week, I received a gift. For those of you who don't know her, Martha Beyer is an attorney whose practice is primarily focused on the practice of telecommunications law. In this capacity, she's negotiated a broad array of agreements between providers in both corporate and government end users, and she regularly provides a wide range of telecommunications consulting and legal services, primarily geared to support corporate and users' work with telecommunications carriers and equipment providers. In addition to being a popular guest on many webinars within the industry, she's well respected among her peers and clients. In fact, for the past 7 years, she's been the regulatory counsel for the Society of Telecommunications Consultants Incorporated, who's an organization of independent consultants who adhere to a very rigorous code of ethics. You'll find links to all the websites mentioned here in my blog at www.avaya.com/Fletcher. So earlier this week, I got a note from Martha where she asked me to provide a quote for her monthly article in the Journal of the Bar Association of Erie County, New York. Well, after I happily did so, she returned a copy of that article to me for my final approval. And as usual, I found it to be both well-written and very timely. So since it's been more than a month since I had a guest blogger, I thought I would take the Easter weekend off and hand the keyboard and microphone over to someone else that can provide their point of view on E911 in the enterprise. So with that, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you Martha Beyer.
Thanks, Fletch. I like to mention to those of my friends, clients, and anyone else who I happen to bump into who work behind multi-line telephone systems, main listed number and numerous extensions in varying locations known as MLTS, about emergency information. As is the case with security systems, it is to be hoped that no one will ever need to dial 911 in the event of a medical or other emergency. But the fact remains that such calls do need to be made, and when they do, time can absolutely be of the essence. A first responder has no more than 4 minutes to get to someone in cardiac distress or other medical traumas. Simply put, that's not very much time. While New York has not yet taken steps to require specific obligations for managing emergency information on the part of the end user, and New York has no legislation in place, in fact, under OSHA and some other state and federal statutes, employers have an ongoing obligation to provide safe work environments for their employees. It wouldn't take much for even a marginal litigator to prove that an employer's failure to plan for an emergency situation creates, among many other things, a significant, which really can be read to mean expensive and potentially deadly, OSHA violation. And the last thing that anyone wants is a team from OSHA knocking on the door wanting to do an inspection. The bottom line of any emergency response program is its ability to find someone in need. In the biz, this is called location granularity, and it refers to the amount of specificity that is provided to the 911 center when someone picks up a phone and calls looking for help. And let me just add that it's not just specificity, it's specificity that's useful. When you call 911 from a landline at home, your street address, as well as the cross streets on either side of your home, are provided to the public safety access point person who answers the phone. When a call is made from behind an MLTS, translation, when a call is made from a desk in a multi-line telephone system environment, where the caller ID may only show the main listed number, there's a problem, particularly when the office is large and not located either on a single floor or in a single building. As multi-line telephone systems have become increasingly sophisticated, it has become much easier for end users to manage the location granularity within the phone system. But the bottom line is the first responder, fire, paramedic, or whoever, must be able to find the person in need as quickly as possible. While legal obligations for reporting in multi-line telephone systems vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, internal granularity, that is, having someone inside the company know precisely from where the call to 911 was made, is both relatively easy to manage and cost-effective to implement. This is a marked contrast to keeping the same information current with a local carrier or another third party on the outside who needs to be in the loop every time a new employee starts or moves work bases from one office location to another. At the risk of getting a little technical, and given how technical Fletch's presentations sometimes get, I'm assuming that I'm on safe ground here. The only information that the phone system itself sends out when an emergency number is dialed is the phone number from which the call is made. That information is then run through a database that's external to the phone system, managed at the local exchange carrier, and then matched with some sort of physical location information that can be provided in 20 characters or less. It's not exactly Twitter, which isn't very much. For this reason, accurate caller ID information is critical. However, even location-specific information, and reminder, 20 characters or less, is useless unless the responder understands how to read the office map and understands the 20-character or less location information. What's critical is that relevant data that's already built into the in-house network and is understandably beyond the network control center be sent promptly to public safety. In short, the message is, I need help, I'm here, come get me. According to my friend, Mr. Fletcher, who's going to jump in here in a second, and I've described him as the most knowledgeable and well-respected 911 professional in the business, as well as being a former EMT and police dispatcher. Whether or not statutory obligations exist regarding emergency information notification, it's critical that within a specific building or facility that manageable response zones located within the building or specific location that provide location-based discovery and information be created. This means that large spaces be divided into zones for easy identification when an emergency call is made. Secondly, Fletch will tell you, if I would let him, but I haven't let him interrupt yet, internal databases must be updated in an ongoing and timely way. Thirdly, there must be a vehicle for notifying in-house personnel when a call is made to 911 so that when the ambulance shows up, the paramedics can be directed to the right location as quickly as possible. After all, internal first responders are best able to coordinate with public safety officials to ensure the quickest possible response when time is absolutely of the essence. Okay, Mark, take it away.
Thanks, Martha. What public safety dispatchers need to do is get responders to the right location. Telling them that the caller is in cube 2C231 is the same as saying, I'm having chest pains and I'm wearing blue socks. It's irrelevant information.
Right. Emergency responders responding to the scene need situational awareness, and that is best provided by staff on scene who understand what is going on and have taken steps to ensure doors are unlocked, paths are clear, etc.
That's exactly right, Martha. First responders don't like to walk into the lobby of a building only to be asked, hey, what are you guys doing here? Internal awareness to emergent events can shave life-saving minutes from the response time.
Finally, there are many sophisticated and cool products that can be secured to interact with a multi-line telephone system to assist in the event of a 911 call. However, the best step to take first when considering these options is to make a call to the local police and or fire and speak with them directly to determine what information they will find most useful in the event of an emergency. After all, they'll be the ones dispatched to address the problem, and it only makes sense that they should be consulted before any important and potentially costly investment is made.
Thanks very much, Martha. That was great information that will certainly be extremely useful to the audience. I very much appreciate you allowing me to use your article in the Avaya E911 Connected blog, as well as taking the time out to record the audio side as well. That's a special treat that we haven't really done before, but I think it adds a whole new aspect to the podcast. Don't forget the IAUG Global Education Conference is scheduled for May 20th through May 24th at the John B. Hines Veterans Memorial Convention Center, and that's in Boston, Massachusetts. Be sure to get there early and show up on Sunday, May 20th for my sessions on E911, as well as the Great E911 Debate, where you can ask all the top E911 vendors the real tough questions in an open, public forum. Joining me once again will be Lev Deitch with 911 Enable, Bill Svean from 911 ETC, Tim Kenyon from Conveyance Systems, and Nick Mayer from Red Sky. There have been a lot of changes this year in E911, including new legislation in Michigan, the Next Generation 911 Advancement Act of 2012 that was signed into law by the President on January 22nd, and some brand new thoughts on how to handle E911 in the enterprise, as you've just heard from Martha. Be sure to check out my other blogs at avaya.com/Fletcher, and my blogs are available as podcasts, downloadable at fletch.tv, or on YouTube at youtube.com/Fletch911TV. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Fletch911.
You've been listening to the E911 Talk podcast with your host, Mark Fletcher, product line manager for emergency services at Avaya. E911 Talk is a weekly podcast available on sites like this, as well as iTunes, and is available free of charge. If you have any comments or questions, you can email Fletch at fletcherm@avaya.com. That's Fletcher, the letter M, at avaya.com. Be sure to listen in next week for more informative topics on E911.
911, the line is recorded. What is the exact location of your emergency?